Thank you guys very much for inviting us to chat today. NOAA's Office of Ocean Exploration and Research, or NOAA Ocean Exploration, has been spending a lot of time exploring the Atlantic lately, and we're so excited to share with you what we've been doing and to be a part of this event, which highlights a lot of the work our partners have been doing as well. So for a lot of people, there are different definitions when we talk about ocean exploration. People may think about it as some of the more traditional ocean research, or they may really think about it as, going somewhere and figuring out what's there. For us, deep ocean exploration is inclusive of water column, seafloor, subsea floor mapping, as well as the acquisition of samples and sensor-based data that can provide the initial observations of an area's physical, chemical, geological, biological, and marine cultural heritage features. So for us, we are guided by a series of principles of exploration, and our principles of exploration are really what underpins how we do deep sea exploration. So we work very closely with the science and resource management community to assess the data gaps and determine where exploration data is needed. We then conduct our expeditions and our grants projects and our partnership projects in a way that we can address those exploration priorities. With all of our investments, we strive to collect data that is useful and high quality and that can be used both by current researchers today, as well as those for generations to come. When planning our operations, we do our best to systematically build a continuous bathymetric coverage everywhere that we go, and to expand the spatial footprint of new data in areas that have never been explored before. With our website and social media channels, sometimes even live video feeds, we share discoveries with the public in real time or near real time. And a critical part of our exploration is making sure that all the data that we collect is documented with appropriate metadata and then is archived in a publicly available area that people can access it in a timely manner. So to execute these principles of exploration, we conduct regional campaigns to reveal the unknown deep sea. We define a campaign as a series of expeditions that are paired together in a way that is multi-partner, multi-year, multi-platform, and it's an undertaking that is set to meet specific objectives that are set and defined by partnerships. Campaigns are composed of a series of these expeditions that then build coverage in an area and then end up having these uniting exploration priorities that collectively build upon each other's scope of work. These expeditions use a variety of technology and platforms to continue to expand the footprint of exploration over time. And then we have robust engagement in education and outreach efforts that engage the public and, again, continue to expand and highlight the breadth of work that we are doing. So this graphic illustrates some of the key elements that go into planning and executing a campaign. Early on in the planning phase of a campaign, partners, resource managers, and members of the academic, industry, and philanthropic communities are engaged to identify exploration priorities. While campaigns can vary in their scale, their size, their scope, and honestly, even in their formality a bit, one thing that is always true, though, is there is a series of overarching objectives that are identified at this level and early on in the planning phases that are used to inform all the expedition and project plans to come. And then we have additional points of contact with these communities and from regional and local stakeholders that give them a chance to provide input into very targeted site exploration as well. At the conclusion of an expedition, then data is made publicly available and new discoveries then are going to feed into the planning cycle for the next evolution or the next stages of a campaign. So ASPIRE, or the Atlantic Seafloor Partnership for Integrated Research and Exploration, is a multi-year, multinational collaborative field campaign that is set to basically raise our collective knowledge of the North Atlantic. It's providing a foundation of publicly accessible baseline data to increase the understanding of this region. The effort's also providing critical information relevant to emerging blue economy sectors that include sustainable fisheries, offshore energy development, coastal and offshore hazards, as well as others. This effort is coordinated by NOAA, but it's very closely linked to our domestic partners as well as international partners and projects, many of which you can see here. And as Terry mentioned, this project is endorsed by the Galway Statement Implementation Committee. So as I mentioned before, one of the key things that always is true about a campaign is that there's a series of uniting objectives or science priorities. For Aspire, this is what they are. We want to improve the knowledge of unexplored areas within both the US waters as well as the high seas. We want to characterize deep sea coral and sponge and chemosynthetic communities and water column habitats, enhance predictive capabilities for vulnerable marine habitats as well as submarine geohazards, expand bathymetric coverage in both US waters and international waters, particularly in support of Seabed 2030 and the National Strategy for Ocean Mapping, Exploring, and Characterizing the US EEZ. And we want to increase the understanding of deep ecosystem connectivity across the Atlantic Basin. So to date, Aspire has included 9 ships. We've executed 430 days at sea. We have mapped over 300,000 square kilometers and conducted 143 vehicle dives, so ROV and HOV and AUV dives. And you can see here the number of projects that are currently part of the Aspire expedition. So one thing that's worth noting here, though, is that while much of Aspire has been focused on domestic US waters, there's also been a significant international collaboration and investment in the high seas. We've structured key expeditions or sort of field efforts that are meant to engage our international partners, as well as to work in both international, in Canadian and Portuguese waters, as well as in the high seas. And then while we've been doing all of our work domestically, we've been ensuring that all of the data and samples that we've collected will feed into greater international efforts. So this is a really good model, though, for other nations that are looking to develop their domestic exploration efforts, but also still contribute to international efforts. So one of the benefits of taking a campaign approach is that the mapping and exploration that is done each build upon each other, and that you have the ability to continue to grow and expand the footprint of exploration throughout time. So here you can see a series of mapping surveys that were done on the Blake Plateau. This is just offshore of Florida, Georgia, North Carolina, and South Carolina in the US Southeast coast. These surveys were conducted over a series of years by NOAA Ocean Exploration and some partners. And over time, we have built a continuous bathymetric service in this area, which has revealed one of the largest deep sea coral provinces that we have found to date. So in terms of the why Aspire works, you could talk about for days about all the discoveries that have happened over this campaign since we started in 2016. But the key things that make it work are that we have unifying priorities and messaging, that we're able to leverage partnerships, and that so many people were willing to come on board and to work with us as we try to execute these projects. We take advantage of complementary capabilities. So a lot of you may have worked with us through our work with NOAA Ocean Exploration's missions aboard Okeanos Explorer, or you may have worked with one of the other partnership projects that we have funded or supported throughout these projects, throughout this campaign as well. The other thing that has been really successful is cross-pollinating of personnel. So we've been working directly with our partners to make sure that we are constantly talking to each other as well as sharing data, but then also making sure that we're actually physically interchanging personnel so that people get a chance to see in real time what's actually happening on board the different platforms. And you get a chance to really make sure that all the SOPs and the processes are sort of shared amongst partners. In terms of what's next for Aspire, in just a few weeks here, we will be heading out to the high seas to explore the Corner Rise and New England seamounts. That'll be June 30th to July 29. This is one of our pledges that supports the All-Atlantic Forum. And this will be a telepresence-enabled ROV and mapping expedition. So for those of you that are interested in participating, please do. Our expeditions on board the Okeanos Explorer are open to the community to participate. So we invite you to join us. And then in the fall, we'll do a little bit more work to close the gaps on the Blake Plateau, again, offshore Florida, Georgia, North Carolina, and South Carolina. And this will be a series of 3 expeditions, 2 mapping to close the polygon gaps that are here, as well as an ROV and mapping expedition at the end of the fall in order to continue to expand our exploration footprint there. Again, these are definitely expeditions that are open to the community, and we welcome active participation from all of you. And that is it. Thank you so much.